but now we're in too deep. Lying here right next to you, I know love's a losing hand, but I want both of those hands on me. Oh, I don't have to sleep, I'm a beautiful red baby, and I feel like I've been losing my mind. I don't know what you've done to me. Oh, I don't want to leave, 'cause I'm falling for you recklessly, and I feel like I've been losing my mind again. I'm your beautiful red baby. Black roses alive inside my hands, and it's so bizarre. It's an old story. There's no harmony, no without the harm. And baby, I'm burning for you. It's like a forest fire, no way to stop it, no, we're in too deep. Lying here right next to you, I know that's a losing hand, but I want both of those hands on me. Oh, I don't have to sleep, I'm a beautiful red baby, and I feel like I've been losing my mind. I don't know what you've done to me. Oh, I don't want to leave, 'cause I'm falling for you recklessly, and I feel like I've been losing my mind again. I'm your beautiful red baby. I'm your beautiful red baby. Follow me on this fire train, when you're bunny on my Clyde, feeding on happy accidents, so we stay up all night. Follow me on this fire train, when you're bunny on my Clyde, so don't kiss me goodbye. I don't have to sleep, I'm a beautiful red baby, and I feel like I've been losing my mind. I don't know what you've done to me. Oh, I don't want to leave, 'cause I'm falling for you recklessly, and I feel like I've been losing my mind again. I'm your beautiful red baby.
And we're live. I'm Jesse. That's Jay. This is Rooster Grooves. What's up? We're talking about Moo.
Meh.
Meh?
Meh. This is going to be a challenging episode to do pronunciations on. But a Danish artist that goes by Meh
Meh.
or Mo.
That sounds French.
Well,
I settled on Moo after my
Mo.
intensive research.
Apparently she accepts Mo. Because she's from Denmark, our artist of the day. And well, we're doing a bad thing. I don't know what we're doing.
I'm going with Moo.
But she said that, because Denmark has a population of 5 million people, but their language is only really spoken in Denmark, right? It's not one of those languages that has gone all across the world.
Kind of isolated.
Yeah, so I think she realizes that, it's hard for other people outside of Danish speaking to pronounce a lot of Danish words. So
fair enough. And I mean, just reading it, it's a O with the cross through it. So,
right, yeah. Another
who's to know?
Yeah, which has a different pronunciation, I think. But this is a weird intro, I feel like.
We don't got to make it weird. We're talking about Moo, Mo, Meh.
But I like to start this off with the quote of the day, music quote of the day. I have one from Erykah Badu. she's been mentioned on previous episodes, but she's not really going to come up on this one, except right now. I've been reading a lot about intuition lately, following your heart, trying to listen to your gut, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And she said, follow your heart. It will get you to where you need to be.
Simple
as that.
Trust your intuition.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
You're usually right. They say when you're taking a test, and you're like, is it A, B, or C?
Yeah.
Go with your gut instinct with the first one you thought it was.
Really? That's the thing.
And like most of the time you were correct the first time.
Okay. In music, I feel like we have to use intuition all the time, right? Or we should be, maybe.
I mean, I think a lot of musicians would describe themselves as, channeling.
Yeah.
It's
more,
something that, they're just a conduit for the music to come out into the physical world.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the best music creation process is when it's just flowing and you're not thinking about it. It's just, and a lot of people say it comes from somewhere and you're channeling it.
Yeah.
And that's the best time. And I think Mo has a little bit of that, which we'll get into a little bit later. But who are we speaking about? Let's really sort of describe
We're talking
this
about
lady. And
Karen Marie Aagaard Orsted.
Right.
Hope I'm pronouncing these names ish correctly.
I heard her. So Orsted is pronounced O with that strike through it. Rsted. So I think a lot of English people would say Orsted. I heard her pronounce it Urstel. Which is interesting. So.
I mean, I'm gonna do my best, but I don't really, think anybody cares too much.
No.
I mean, I don't know. I heard people saying Orsted, so I'm gonna say Orsted.
Sure, yeah.
I think she's fine with it.
Yeah.
So
she's a pop star, would you say? Pop star or just in the pop genre?
Yeah, so she's she comes from like punk roots.
Yeah.
But she's found herself in some of the biggest pop songs or working with the biggest pop artists of the day.
Yeah.
So she's a really cool, dynamic person.
Yeah.
She seems pretty cool. I think she's 34 years old.
Yeah.
From Denmark, like we said, in Odense.
Yeah.
I do believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's been in some other bands beforehand, but she's really gained popularity with her more contemporary music, which is like described as electronic, indie pop. There's soul and some street vibes that harken back to those kind of punky days.
Yeah.
So she's been like compared to Grimes or Twin Shadow, which I'm not too familiar with.
Yeah. I know of Grimes because isn't she like Elon Musk's partner? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know of her music so much. Partner. Are they married? I don't know.
Fling.
You're not keeping up on the Elon Musk.
Oh, I'm not sure if there's any true love there or not.
Yeah, I mean, he's an interesting character. Anyway.
Yeah. I saw somebody say vocals linked to Lana Del Rey.
Yeah, I could hear that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in some of her tracks. Yeah.
Yeah, but she's very, very heartfelt.
Yeah.
Like her stuff is very strong. Her emotions.
Yeah.
I think there was a word ardor I came across.
Okay.
And it means like, I don't know, just really like caring about what they're doing.
Right.
Let me see if I can.
Ardor? Like A-R-D-O-U-R?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, enthusiasm or passion.
Okay.
So I think some people would say she's not doing anything too crazy or innovative particularly, but she makes up for it. I think it was some magazine, whatever said.
Journalists.
Yeah, just make something. But I think it makes some sense.
Yeah.
But she makes up for it with enthusiasm and passion.
Right.
Because the stuff she sings and the lyrics she comes up with is very great.
Yeah.
Very emotive.
Yeah.
And I think she really connects to the listeners, which is why she's gotten connected with these awesome DJs and producers, and the music connects with the population.
Right. Yeah.
And I think she's done a really good job doing that.
Yeah. So like you say, I have on her Wikipedia, let's see, electronic, electropop, synth pop, indie pop. I think you mentioned a lot of those. To me, I feel that's because is it a fine line between EDM and pop music? What do you think?
It's I don't know. These days, they're one and the same. They're synonymous in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
and
I feel like a EDM, electronic dance music. Obviously, I would say a broad spectrum, but like a lot of people associate EDM with like some of the people. Whoa, heater in the background, guys. with some of these like big club DJ type personalities, right? Some of whom Mo's worked with, Diplo, obviously, and Avicii, the late Avicii, where it's like grand, big, like they like big club DJs, right? They have like hundreds of thousands of people at the festivals they go to.
Yeah.
But then they have these like songs that hit the mainstream, like.
I think it's just like the context you're talking about, because you know, pop is obviously popular.
Yeah.
And so whatever's popular at the time is considered pop.
Yeah.
Arguably.
Well, yeah.
Somewhat subjectively. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of ebbs and flows as to what's popular, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And I mean, right now, we're experiencing some of the hugest songs have a electronic or EDM twinge to them.
Yeah.
You know, either even a little bit or a lot of it.
Well, I feel like if you think about music in the last few decades, you know, there was a time where pop music was like Bee Gees, right? And stuff like that. And Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that was maybe pop music. And then like in my childhood, the 90s, it was all the boy bands, right? Like
In Sync.
Yeah. Backstreet Boys. Like
Then
that sort of morphed into like R&B and hip hop being pop. Like, and now I feel like we have crazy mixture. And like Mo is, I don't feel like she's super famous, but she's like, like, you know, a pop star. It's not a pop star, but she's an artist really at the end of the day.
I think
but like,
it just describes how like kind of humble and down to earth she is. She seems like a really cool, chill person.
Yeah.
Coming from like, you know, punk backgrounds, like I already said, and we'll talk about it later, but just the attitude of like not really caring what other people think.
Yeah.
So she kind of like, she is in the pop world, but she's not, so much of a pop star. She's not like on the level of people knowing her name.
Like Pink, I would say Pink has that punk aesthetic, but she doesn't, I'm not sure if she necessarily comes from the same punk background as Mo does.
Yeah. I don't know anything about Pink either.
Yeah, I don't know.
But she, at least stylistically, she has the punk vibe or goes for that.
Yeah.
Other artists try to get that too. Like Taylor Swift has come out with like an album when she's looking punk.
Miley Cyrus, right?
Yeah.
That whole period.
Some of these people go through these phases or whatever, and try to push that as a narrative, at least for a moment, or just a vibe. You know, it's all good, whatever they want to do. But she kind of was like, she was really in that scene, that kind of, you know, like tear down the patriarchy, feminism, anti-fascism.
Right.
You know, she was like a true like punk, whatever that would mean.
Yeah.
And she's still like that today.
Yeah.
So at the same time, she's in the pop world.
Yeah.
But yeah, not many people know her name, I guess. I didn't really know who she was.
Yeah. I heard that track Lean On, which most people know. I looked it up. It's apparently the most streamed song on Spotify.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was so huge.
Neither did I. It's the 16th most watched music video on YouTube. And YouTube's massive.
Insane. And ultimately, that's the first song I heard her on.
I hear this song like 2 times a week.
Yeah.
Every week. Because in our household, we have like Pandora. And if you switch it on a certain station, like, I don't use it myself too much, but like it plays the same songs all the time. And this track Lean On is consistently always in that mix, like whenever this device is turned on. So
it is a great track. I admit I like it. It's good.
If people haven't heard it, it's catchy. It's got a hook in it, but it's also like electronic. It's like dance music, club vibe. You know, I like the way it's produced and stuff like that.
Yeah, it sounds great. That's one of the things that Meh does really well, is create hooks. Yeah. Just really strong, hooky stuff that is really gripping. Yeah. And I mean, it's great. Yeah. Makes for a lot of good tracks.
Overview-wise, should we like call out a few of our influences?
I was about to say the same thing, sir. Go for it.
Well, so Spice Girls was the first thing she heard, and we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But then from there, obviously, we talked about the punk thing, and one of her biggest inspirations growing up was Kim Gordon, who's the bassist, guitarist, vocalist from Sonic Youth, cult band. I really need to. I have this like passion for indie music in the 90s and that, and I need to go. Sometimes I go listen back to like old stuff, and I really want to go listen to Sonic Youth and Pixies. I want to go check out some of their stuff.
I've yet to explore a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
We'll do it together.
Let's do it. And then from there, she also listened to people like Black Flag, Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Yeah Yeah Yeahs. Yeah. But that's interesting, all of that, really, because I guess I can hear some of the attitude in her music, but it's not like you wouldn't listen to Mo's music and be like, oh, she's into Black Flag or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe on some deep tracks on the albums or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think some of the ethos of those movements, or the thought processes of those bands, has kind of been like through osmosis. She's taken it in, but now she's putting it back out through her own attitude and brand.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. So it's like, if you listen to the lyrics, you can hear a lot of the influence, I think, more so than the music.
Got it. Yeah. Cool. Should we play a track?
Yeah. Let's get into this.
Your sweet violin halls believes the signs we see in the cards, believes the signs we read in our dreams. But we seem to follow the stream. What's it gonna be with the violence? What's it gonna be with the fire lighting? What's it gonna be like when the sound of you and I die out? What am I to do in my room? Got the walls turning yellow. What am I to do in the city if I can't have it all and I just wanna feel pity? For my own doom, so doomed as the salt. Where can I find peace in the city as I found in the eyes of yours? As I found in the eyes of yours. Into deep, give up and run. No fire eyes, oh bitch, you got it wrong. Into deep, I have become my darkest dream, which I'm running from. What am I to do with the thunder? Don't know who to cast it upon. I just wanna walk to the mountains on and on. With my own doom, so doomed as the soul. So where can I find peace in the city as I found in the eyes of yours? As I found in the eyes of yours. Into deep, give up and run. No fire eyes, oh bitch, you got it wrong. Into deep, I have become my darkest dream, which I'm running from. Into deep, my pulse is gone. No fire eyes, oh bitch, you got it wrong. Into deep, I have become my darkest dream, which I'm running from. What's it gonna be with the violence? What's it gonna be with the fire lighting? What's it gonna be like when the sound of you and I die out?
You're listening to Rooster Grooves. That was Fire Rides from Mo, from her debut album, No Mythologies to Follow. That's a good album title. I like that.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
Good track. And let's get in a time machine. Didgeridoo this time. Should have saved that for one of the many Australian artists.
I'm working on it. Yeah, we'll get. Yeah, okay.
What's a Danish sound?
What do they do in Denmark?
Eat cookies? I don't know. Danish cookies?
Oh yeah, the
Terrible.
Danish.
This is terrible. I'm going to be
I don't know
Danish
much about
pastry.
the Danish culture.
I have
like to know more.
one friend from Copenhagen. I was going to visit him, but I decided not to when I was in London. I should have done. But it looks like a nice place, Copenhagen, which is the capital city. But Mo is not from there. As you shouted out at the beginning of the episode, some of these names are hard to pronounce for us. But she was born in Uberud,
Yeah.
which is a small village
Yeah.
near Odense, which is
It's like a bigger city.
biggest city. I think it's like the third biggest city in Denmark, they said.
Nice.
But then she grew up on, there's like this biggest island in Denmark called Funen. Sorry.
That's what it says.
Not Funen. Funen. That seems
Funyuns?
like...
I haven't had a Funyun in years now, I think.
I had one not for a couple of months, but they're good.
They're good.
They're good, yeah. And
So, I mean, here's what I got. Her father, Franz Orsted.
yeah,
I'm just putting the American accent on it, you
go
know.
for it, yeah.
Orsted.
yeah, yeah.
He's a psychologist.
Yeah.
Mother, Mette Orsted.
Okay.
Mette.
Yeah.
Help me out, anybody?
Yeah.
She's a teacher. And then she has an older brother who's a doctor,
Right.
Casper.
Yeah.
I only have that name. I don't know if it's first or last. Probably first.
And quickly on her name, Mo, or Mo, as it's pronounced in Danish, is just obviously her initials, like her middle name's Marie. But also apparently her grandfather was an artist, and I'm not sure what kind of artist. I'm assuming visual or painter or something like that.
It was unclear.
But he went by Mo as well. That was like his moniker as an artist.
The same way.
Yeah, the
Like
same
spelled
way.
just the M and the O with the cross.
Yeah, so...
I think it was a painting.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think he used to sign that. That was like his signature.
Cool. Yeah, so it's like a great ode to her grandfather and carrying on that name in a new art form, music.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I got what it means as well.
Oh, okay.
It means maiden
Right.
or
Okay.
virgin.
Yeah.
And I think specifically like virgin to life.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like inexperienced or
Yeah.
like that.
Like newly born type thing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And that's in Danish.
Yeah.
So I mean, overall, yeah. Cool.
And yeah, and so I don't know too much about these places, but they seem very small and like kind of rural a little bit, you know, her upbringing. I feel like a lot of these Scandinavian countries seem to be a bit like tranquil in general, like Sweden and Denmark and...
Well, I think I think she said in an interview once, they're kind of, they have money, like they're not poor countries.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they have time to do stuff.
Yeah.
Like leisure and create music.
Right.
And, you know, I don't know, that's the vibe that I got.
Apparently I read something, just the headline, but Norway, because of Russia and the whole Ukraine war and the energy crisis, a lot of Europe is getting their energy from Norway now.
Oh.
And so apparently Norway is like raking in like billions of dollars.
Good for them.
Yeah. So, and so they got money and tranquility and quality of life.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. I think that area of the world seems to be
Yeah.
doing like some good stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
In Sweden and whatnot,
Yeah.
you know. I would like to live over there. I think some of those countries have like the highest rated,
Yeah.
you know,
Quality of life in the
Yeah.
world. Yeah. Yeah.
so whatever that means. I'd love to go check it out one day.
But yeah, so her parents weren't musical at all. She said they know nothing about music, but they're excited that she's excited about it, apparently.
Supportive.
Yeah. And I think she was asked in an interview, okay, so where did the music come from then? And of all things, at 7 years old, it was Spice Girls' debut album, Spice, that she got, right? Spice, that was the name of that album, by the way. Fun fact, the music video for their first single was filmed in the next village over from where I grew up.
Oh, is that right?
Mentmore Towers. Here's a picture of Mentmore Towers. It was also used as Christian Bale's back mansion, the Wayne Manor.
That place?
Yeah, yeah.
Same spot?
Same. And then the Spice Girls filmed their music video inside there.
That is a fun fact.
Stanley Kubrick's used it as well. Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah.
Oh, I just watched that recently.
Oh, you did?
That's a
good-
creepy,
good movie,
weird
yeah.
cult movie. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise,
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman.
Stanley Kubrick. It's a good movie.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, Spice Girls were like singing about like love and stuff.
Yeah, it was just like powerful, positive, fun pop music.
Yeah.
Especially for a kid. Like, you know, it's great. And for some, yes, she just really got inspired by hearing that. And, you know, the whole girl power as well, probably like played a part in it as well.
That's where it all started.
But, and so I think not long after that, like they got a piano in her household. And she would basically spend her time trying to just like recreate Spice Girls songs and pop songs of the time, pretty much, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, figuring it out.
Yeah, so I mean, she was started very early.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you said, 7 years old.
Yeah.
I think around the same time, I have the same age, she wrote her first song
Okay. Yeah.
titled Because I Love You.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know, probably can't find it on the internet anywhere, but
Yeah.
no, maybe.
Did
I don't
she
think she said it was a
even-
great song.
Did she even record it, you think?
Yeah, it might not be recorded at all.
Yeah. Because that's an interesting thing. Like, if you think about when you first started making music or writing your songs, did you record? Like,
No, I had no.
You just figured it out and remembered it and played
Basically.
it, performed it. Yeah, that's crazy.
Didn't even perform it. Just just practiced it sometimes, and then that was it. That was the performance for myself. You know?
Yeah.
'Cause, you know, I didn't have any wherewithal, lack of equipment.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I wasn't ahead of the game like she was. You know.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of like the most of what I've heard of her like musical background, you know, just being really drawn to it. Seeing the light is what she said, which is great. It's just like she just realized, oh, I want to do that, you know. And then she just started noodling around on the piano, singing, you know. It sounds like she was self-taught from as far as I can gather.
That's
like,
I got the same story as well.
Yeah.
I don't have a ton more information on that as she goes, but you know, we don't have to speak about every single day of her life, you know. So I think she just gets better and better at music. She was writing music through like her young years, from like 7 to 10 to 12 into her like early teens or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she started like playing in some bands basically and creating her own music.
Yeah. I think she went to art school, and was it in Copenhagen? She went to art school.
I don't remember where.
But I feel like she was definitely in Copenhagen in her teen years. And that's kind of where the punk scene sort of comes into play, right? Like she was hanging out at a few like venues that were there while she was going to art school. And around this time, right, she started this group, right, with her friend. Is that
More.
More, yeah, spelled M-O-R. I feel like I've come across that name before, but I couldn't find anything musically on Spotify, at least. Did you come across any releases or anything like that? Or
well, I mean, I think we're talking about like around 2006,
right?
I think she released some other stuff. I'm not sure if it was specifically More. I guess it was pretty much More, but yeah, there was tracks called Garbage King,
right? Yeah,
and Polly Get Your Gun. Is that what you're talking about?
That I think she had another side project called the Edmonds. I saw.
Those are from that project.
Yeah,
then.
yeah. And I'm not sure. Polly Got Your Gun, is that? I mean, were they covers or were they originals? I feel like.
I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't look into that.
I feel like Polly Got Your Gun it's not Nirvana, because the Nirvana song's just Polly, right?
Yeah, that's Polly Want a Cracker.
Yeah, dark song, dark lyrics. Anyway.
Good stuff though.
Yeah, inspirational to a lot of people.
But I think she had a few side projects is basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I think what we're getting at.
Yeah.
From like 2008 to 2010.
Yeah.
There's a song called A Piece of Music to Fuck To.
Right. Yeah.
The Rarities, another one.
Yeah.
And then I think some of these they were released, but they were taken down.
Okay. Yeah.
For whatever reason, probably for her brand from the label said take those down or whatever. As far as I understand. Yeah. But I think that you can find them on YouTube because the fan has re-uploaded them.
All right. Cool. Check that out.
So, I mean, yeah. But then, Mo.
Right. Yeah.
I feel comfortable saying Moo.
I'm going to say Mo.
Okay. We're talking about the same person, though.
Yeah.
Karen. Just go with Karen.
She also just goes by Karen.
Yeah.
She said, so that's
that works.
Yeah.
But so her and her friend Josephine Struckman.
Yeah.
Struckman Peterson.
Right.
I guess. And they started More in 2007.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess that was even a little earlier.
Yeah.
They released a couple of EPs. Pussy in Your Face. and Madness Hours.
Right.
So they were going like full bore with this like, feminist, anti-fascist punk style,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
And I wasn't able to hear the music, but I feel like maybe it was electronic based back then as well, because they said they would perform just with a laptop and them two on stage. And because they said there wasn't anything else going on musically, they had to like kind of like act out and dance and do a bunch of crazy moves to just make things entertaining for the audience, kind of thing.
It seemed like they were pretty, energetic.
Yeah.
And so, I don't think they got too big, but they did tour a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think there was like a few other punk bands that were in their circle at this time, and they said that they toured like Europe with like this one group and stuff like that. Played a lot at like this same venue in Copenhagen. I think it was called Youth House was the name of the place. She said ton of punk shows, and it was kind of like a gathering space for like sort of, left-leaning like punk like aesthetic. Art as well as hanging out and music and stuff like that.
For sure.
Apparently didn't last around very long. She said at some point a religious group took over the place and they demolished it because they thought it was possessed or something. So
there's all these punky kids hanging around.
Exactly. But yeah.
I don't know. For personal reasons, I guess they disbanded.
Yeah, that's all it says on the internet. For personal reasons.
In 2012, and I guess so. They were like underground. They had like a following, and they had a presence in the scene.
Yeah,
but they never kind of made it out of that.
Right.
As far as a band.
Yeah.
But personal reasons, they were kind of done. Yeah. But I guess the two are still good friends.
Right.
I think she still considers Josephine her best friend.
Cool. Yeah.
So good for them.
Yeah, and it's interesting this time because she's still finding her art, like her artistry, I guess, point of view sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think one thing she said later about the punk scene is she feels like in a certain way she was always trying to find ways to break the rules kind of thing. And the idea of like an alter ego sort of came into play a little bit as well. Like, and just being a teenager, like she said, a lot of the songs that she wrote for More were like, about breakups, but like in the most like visceral way possible, like fuck you in the face type shit, and also, she was saying that a lot of the other bands that are around them were just like a bunch of dudes, so, and there was two girls in this band, and so they wanted to just really, show that they could be like hard hitting with like their topic and the lyrics. And
like we're out here.
Like yeah, exactly.
Check us out.
Yeah.
So that's around like 18, 19 when they break up with that band, I think.
Right. Yeah.
And so then from there, she starts hanging around with some like skater type people, I guess, kind of a skate scene. No graffiti boys I saw. And they were listening to like hip hop, and that started her influence on hip hop. They were listening to like J Dilla, MF Doom, Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
And so that started a whole new barrage of influence over her musical style.
Yeah.
And that started to fuse with the punk stylings.
It's interesting because we talked about Wooloo in a previous episode, and how he grew up with the skate sort of scene. And how we talked in that about how like skate is the new punk kind of thing. And it's interesting that Mo is kind of, experienced both. Like she's done straight up punk scene and then like skate kind of scene as well.
Yeah, she was even in deeper than Wooloo maybe.
Yeah, I mean, and in a different part of the world as well. Copenhagen, like I can't imagine like what it would have been like back then. What were we talking about? Mid 2000s? Like, I mean,
like the mid aughts to the late aughts.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's just move on. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, what? We're talking about no mythologies?
Yeah. So, well, I don't really know. I have a missing chunk of story of like how she went to from doing all of that punk stuff and those side projects. Before her debut album, she like started appearing on some singles, right, for like different fairly big artists, right? I feel like Diplo. There was another artist I can't remember the name of. That was like the first single that she appeared on. Was it Major Lazer? She's done a lot of stuff with Major Lazer.
Sure,
right?
maybe. I'm not sure if that's the one you're talking about, but she's definitely worked together with them.
Yeah. So I don't know how she connected up with those guys, but at some point she just sort of kind of started making connections in the EDM realm.
I was just assuming that just based on her being in the scene and being around other musicians and musical artists,
networking.
There was connections.
Right.
Yeah, networking.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Right.
Speculating.
Yeah.
I'm sure it makes hard to argue against that.
Yeah.
Oh, she networked.
She networked.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. I mean, yeah, it could have been some Danish DJs and producers and going to events, because these guys go out and play a lot in Europe, right? Diplo and Avicii. Avicii was from Europe. He's from.
Yeah,
I think that was.
He
the
might have been
first.
Swedish.
She was definitely on an Avicii single.
Yeah.
As well. People don't know Avicii. I don't know too much about him. I had a friend forward me a couple of his albums a while ago, and he passed away at 28 years old. I'm not sure how long ago, but I know his name, and he was pretty big in the scene as well.
It was only a few years ago, right?
Was it? Yeah, it was kind of recent. Yeah,
something pretty recently.
Yeah, so she worked with him on at least one track, I think, that was on his one of his albums. So
yeah, and I think this kind of story comes together a little bit as far as coming out with this first album, because she started working with Ronnie Vindal, who's a Danish producer, composer, remixer, musician guy.
Yeah,
and he's worked with Avicii and Kendrick Lamar.
Right. Okay.
And so I think some of these networking styling things have started to come together for her, and that's how she made this thing happen.
Yeah. Being talented as well, once you make a couple of connections and you record a few things.
She was just on an upcycle of she was doing good work, and people recognized her for that.
Yeah.
And so they would introduce her to this. Oh, I know this guy.
Exactly,
I know this guy.
Oh, you need vocals on this? You should check out.
Yeah.
She's a great songwriter and stuff like that.
Exactly. So I think it was. So she's just kind of going step by step up the ladder, working with more and more awesome people until she was with these kind of huge names.
Yeah.
Which, just a testament to her ability and her natural talent, I guess.
Yeah.
So she signed with Sony Music Entertainment in 2012 as well.
All right. Okay.
So and then once that happens, I feel like it's much easier to get some connections.
Yeah, definitely. And this, these different, she's collaborating with individual producers here and there. She's doing named features on these tracks as well. Her name's featuring, Avicii featuring her.
Moo.
Mo, Karen. And then all this leads up to her debut album, right? 2014.
No Mythologies to Follow.
We played a track off of that a moment ago. Good album. I listened to this, not in its entirety, but mostly, and it's really, it sounds like a mature album to me. It doesn't sound like a new she's just singing and they're slapping beats on it,
Yeah.
It's really well thought out, album, I think.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. She won 4 awards at the Danish Music Awards for it.
Yeah.
Album of the Year, Danish Solo Artist of the Year, Breakthrough Artist of the Year, and Music Video of the Year.
Right.
So she came out swinging.
Yeah. Music on that is mostly produced by Diplo. I think there's a few other people that worked on it. One name who I didn't know, but I looked him up. This is the Damon Albarn connection. It's the Damon Albarn.
There's always one.
A guy called James Dring, D-R-I-N-G, D-Ring, Dring. I think he's credited as doing some production work on this album. Mm-hmm. Apparently, he has been a producer and arranger for Blur and Gorillaz.
Really?
I looked at his discography, and he must be tight with Damon Albarn, because he's pretty much on every Blur album and every Gorillaz album.
They ain't from the beginning.
Yeah, he must be doing the Pro Tools shit or something like that. I don't know.
He's an engineer extraordinaire or something.
So yeah, his bio just says he works out of his studio in East London. That's it.
Who is this guy?
Mixer, arranger, producer. Yeah. So
okay, mysterious.
See, there are these people in the industry that are just behind some of the biggest acts, and you never know who these people are.
These huge names.
Yeah.
Got this support system behind them.
Yeah.
It's important to create the network.
Which is actually an interesting point to make, since we're musicians, and we kind of talk about the stuff for musicians' benefit as well. Other musicians, like the fact that you don't have to just be an artist. I mean, I think people know you don't just have to be an artist to make money in music, but I feel like a lot of people get sidetracked thinking that, you know, well, you have to play cover music or you have to be a session musician. But there's like another role, like, which is like supporting these other larger acts, you know, by like being an engineer in their studio or writing a little, you know, that whole thing. Which is like a really interesting position to be in, I think. Like,
because the artists who are utilizing that help recognize the talent. And then they'll help you, you know, word of mouth, like, oh, work with this guy. That guy's trying to release something soon. He needs an engineer.
Exactly,
And it's that network starts to work for yourself once you start to build it. And it's a really powerful thing.
Definitely.
So it's still like, it's not what you know, it's who you know a little bit. If you're willing to put in that work ethic for the networking.
I mean, once you get into a certain way, the music industry is actually pretty small. Like, once you know a few people at a certain level and you're great at your work, you know,
I think
the
this
word
show,
spreads, you know.
like Rooster Grooves kind of highlights that, because we always find these connections where we didn't think there was connections.
Yeah, there's been some crazy connections that we wouldn't even have thought of.
Yeah, never would have guessed.
But yeah, so this album.
So it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would start listening on a different album, maybe like Forever Neverland.
Yeah, that's second album.
It's a good come out. It's a good debut album for her.
Yeah.
So then in between this album and her next release, this is when she releases Lean On.
Yeah.
And that's, like we said, with DJ Snake.
Yeah.
And Major Lazer. But she co-wrote it.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't even just like a vocal feature or anything like that. She was working with them and wrote the song with them.
Should we play just a snippet of it?
Yeah, for anybody who hasn't heard it, a little reminder.
Do you recall not long ago when you would walk on the sidewalk? Innocent, remember, all we did was care for each other. But the night was warm, we were bold and young. All around, the wind blows, we would only hold on to let go. Focus, fire gun, we need someone to lean on. Focus, fire gun, all we need is somebody to lean on. Focus, fire gun, we need someone to lean on. Focus, fire gun, all we need is somebody to lean on.
That's kind of the hook.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, I wonder where they got it.
I think it's her voice manipulated.
I mean, I'm sure, but like which part, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Where did it come from?
True. Yeah, massive track. Major Lazer, Mo, DJ Snake. And yeah, you probably heard that song. If you haven't like come across it, you've heard it definitely somewhere, like on TV, a commercial, a film,
Probably.
a coffee shop. It's
Yeah,
everywhere.
like Jay was saying, it was like one of the biggest pop songs that's ever come out now.
Yeah, most streamed song ever on Spotify, the platform. 16th most watched music video on the entire YouTube. So
It was a successful song.
it was a successful song.
A successful collab.
Yeah.
So
And changed her life, she said. Definitely changed her life.
that kind of put her on at least in the music industry.
Yeah.
Still, I don't know if Moo is a huge name.
No.
Even after that, right? But
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
in the industry,
In the
people
industry.
knew who she was.
Yeah.
And that kind of set her on a new.
Which is crazy because
level.
when I hear that track, like the first time I heard it, and every time I hear it until today when I've done my research, it sounded like it was a remix of something else. The song itself, it sounded like, oh, the vocal was an a cappella that came from something else, which is interesting. It wasn't. It was all written to be that way, kind of thing.
Yeah, it was designed
Yeah.
in a way that gives it that feel,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is cool.
Yeah.
To know it's just a completely like organic, written song.
Yeah.
And I like that aspect.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, like we said, not only the money from royalties, which incidentally she said she's bad at money. She said that. Apparently she doesn't know how much she made from it. I think she knows. She just didn't want to say.
She's just humble. She's just being cool. I bet.
But the amount of people that were contacting her off of that track to collaborate with her increased,
I'm sure.
So out of her network, she had a pretty good network going already, and then this song blows up, and then people she doesn't know that are not in her network are hitting her up.
Yeah.
Like other artists for features, other producers to work with, kind of thing. This is, to me, this is like a big reminder about music and artistry in general. Is like, if you strip everything else away and everything else you do, all you really need at the end of the day is like good music, like a good song or more than one good song.
That'll always help.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, that's all you need. Apparently, like, the song itself, if it's good, it will have like legs of its own, and it will like do the work for you, kind of thing. Like
100%. It's like it's just like a resume.
Yeah.
It's like, here's what I did.
Yeah.
And that says a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's like, again, it's so crazy that we put so much value in a 2 or 3 minute track.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just of some vibrations coming through. But, that communicates so much.
But also, like, I don't know if it's true of a lot of like up and coming artists, but like, see if you think like, I think a lot of us have the mentality that we got to promote our music, and we got to do all of these things to promote and market, so like running your own social media, putting out content all the time, so all of that stuff. But when at the end of the day, it just takes one really great song, and then for people to like it and continue sharing it with their own friends.
Yeah.
For that marketing and promotion to happen.
Yeah.
So in a way, I kind of feel like maybe artists shouldn't even bother fucking around with online content and social media, and focus on just making good music.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like.
I think the music should come first.
Yeah.
Instead of if you're, if you can make the songs, do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. It's just not going to do that much for you.
No.
Like, but once you have the song, then and nobody knows about it, get on social media.
Exactly.
And that'll get you that start.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you have nothing, you can't just create an Instagram account and try to blow up.
Yeah.
Without some good content behind you.
Exactly. Yeah. And no music.
Yeah.
If you like, I only wrote 6 songs this year, but I've released 500 TikToks. Yeah. No.
Hey, 6 songs in a year is not bad.
That's a good record, but we could be doing better than that. I feel like at least 12, one a month.
So let's move on to 2017.
Right.
She releases "When I Was Young," which is an EP, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And that was like an EP that was songs that were written over the past 4 years or so.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of things change in 4 years. So I don't know. That's what she was saying in the interview, at least.
Yeah.
Like you go through a lot of changes in like that span of amount of time.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different kind of stuff on that EP.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't listen to all of the stuff on that one, but I think it's more good stuff. She's fairly consistent. Her, the first album all the way through is good. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's poppy. It's, kind of beat driven.
Yeah.
Kind of tropical vibes a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
That's all. I don't really have much to say on that album.
Yeah. EP.
Yeah. Good stuff though. I'm not trying to bash it.
Yeah. 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 So she's still doing a lot of writing, a lot of touring. And then 2018, she puts out a second album, right? Forever Neverland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we opened the track with Beautiful Wreck off this album.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the second track that once I started looking her up.
Yeah.
And that was somebody showed me this track.
Okay.
And it was really good.
The Beautiful Wreck track.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And so I was like, who's that? And then only after that did I realize that she was the girl who sang Major Lazer song.
Right. Yeah.
Lean On.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, whoa, we got a real one right here. We got a live one.
Got real talent here.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, okay, so let's research this and talk about this.
Yeah.
But that was released 2018, October 19th on Columbia Records.
Right. Which is Sony, pretty much, I think.
Yeah, what was the first one she was on? That was Sony Music Entertainment.
There's like a massive labels that she's involved with. RCA Victor, Sony Music Chess Club. I'm not sure why this. I think probably different countries put out. I think that's still a thing. We've touched upon it before. Different labels will do the different releases in different countries.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But this album's good. It's electro pop, dance pop. elements of tropical house, experimental stuff, trip hop, alternative pop, dance hall. So a list of the genre mash that you can put together. But I would suggest listening to this one first if you want to get into this artist.
Yeah. It's true. You have a taster. Time for another track.
Is it time for another? Yeah, it's
think
time for a
it's
track.
time, yeah,
Let's
yeah.
get it.
Won't you get off my mind? 'Cause I'm busy and you're taking over my time. What's wrong with me? I get distracted easily, and every song's about you. Won't you get off my mind? 'Cause I'm coming out of the water and into the flame. I'm coming, you're so sick and tired of me running away. So I'm coming and I wanna stay. Ooh, ooh, yes, I want you. Ooh, ooh, and every single thing that you do makes me wanna put my phone down, burn this fucking house down. Yes, I want you. Ooh, yes, I want you. Ooh, and every single thing that you do makes me wanna put my phone down, burn this fucking house down. Yes, I take me to the countryside. They tripping, where even the stars are blind. Yeah, and start living. Someone like me misbehaving. Never thought I'd say this, but take me anywhere you like. I follow, out of the water and into the flame. I'm coming, you're so sick and tired of me running away. So I'm coming, and I wanna stay. Ooh, ooh, yes, I want you. Ooh, ooh, and every single thing that you do makes me wanna put my phone down, burn this fucking house down. Yes, I want you. Ooh, yes, I want you. Ooh, and every single thing that you do makes me wanna put my phone down, burn this fucking house down. Yes, I want you. Why am I running from home in a world so cold, in a world so cold? Yeah, I don't want to be alone in a world so cold, in a world so cold. Ooh, ooh, yes, I want you. Ooh, ooh, and every single thing that you do makes me wanna put my phone down, burn this fucking house down. Yes, I want you. Why am I running from home in a world so cold, in a world so cold? Makes me wanna put my phone down, burn this fucking house down. Yes, I want you.
It's a track called "I Want You" from Mo, otherwise known as Karen, from her album Forever Neverland, her second album that came out in 2018, right?
Yeah. The other thing I would say about that track was there's 3 tracks that didn't make it onto the album, but they were only on the Japanese version.
Bill.
Tracks Night With You, Final Song, and Kamikaze. And I thought it was kind of interesting because they put Kamikaze only on the Japanese version. And I looked it up just to be sure because Kamikaze is a suicide bombing tactic used by the Empire of Japan during World War II.
Yeah.
And I was like, who made that
Why
decision?
would you release that in Japan?
Yeah, I didn't look into it further than that. I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, that's weird because about that track, she went on some like late night show or whatever, and she was like previewing tracks from the album before it came out, and that was one of the tracks she previewed. And then I was looking at the album, I was like, it's not on there. What's going on?
Yeah.
So you solved that riddle for me.
I was confused for a second too, so I looked into it. Not too much more than that, but now I'm kind of interested to look at the lyrics for the track Kamikaze and see if there's any.
Yeah.
What is she talking about? I'm sure it's not a suicide bombing technique.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
I wonder if that word has taken on a different meaning in Japan itself at this point, maybe. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Because what executive was like, we can't put this on the American one. Let's only put it on the Japanese version. I'm just curious.
They're just automatically sorting music based on language. Like,
Yeah,
put
yeah.
that one over there.
That's a Japanese word.
It's a Japanese word. No. Japanese market.
They had ChatGPT pick which song should be on which album.
Yeah, that might be a thing. Yeah. Pick my order of track listing for my album.
Yeah. I'm done.
Done.
Okay, and so then let's go on to Motordrome.
Yeah.
2022,
I
latest
guess,
album.
So just in general, though, just like taking a step back for a moment, she has written, like, as a songwriter, like, tracks for a lot of other people, right? Mm-hmm. Ariana Grande being, like, the biggest name I saw.
Yeah, she did write a track where Ariana song sang on it. Also with Major Lazer.
Right, yeah. And so, like, it's interesting, her writing style. She does a lot with Diplo. They collaborate a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because on the Forever Neverland album, before this came out, she was asked in an interview, like, oh, I saw Diplo, posted a Snapchat and you were in it. It's like, are you working on stuff? And she was like, yeah, working on music. And the guy was like, for your album? And she was like, well, it doesn't, it's a bit murky. She didn't say murky, but like basically the way they work, they just work on music. They don't think about albums kind of thing. And when the track's done, they kind of like take a step back from it. And she is realistic. She used this word a lot, realistic, about whether it's a track that she wants to put out or whether it should be produced and performed by someone else kind of thing. And so she's been asked a few questions about this as well. Like, okay, so how does that work? Like, how don't you become attached to something and like you really want to do it, and then like your record label, whoever says, gives it to someone else, or Diplo wants to take it off somewhere, and she doesn't really think about it in that way. She says that she writes all of her music from a personal space, like a personal point of view, right? So everything she writes is personal to her, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then, but when she's done, like, she can see, like, be objective about it, I guess, and like, and be okay with it being used by someone else. I mean, she still gets royalties, right? If it's used by someone else. But she doesn't seem to have that attachment to things, But she did say that she just writes everything personally. She couldn't just be like writing a song for someone else, like through that whole process, thinking it's going to be for someone else.
Right.
She said that would be like stressful to her. Like, that's like a lot of energy or weird energy to like do that. So I thought that was really interesting.
It's a really mature thing to be able to do that.
Yeah. And so like leading up to this album, the latest one, Motordrome, she said that she had been doing this whole thing. She'd been touring for 7 years, non-stop pretty much. She's been going to all these different studios across the world. She's been writing, not just for herself, but for like other artists kind of thing. Or I think they, like we said, she just writes anyway, but it gets used for other artists. So that's a lot of work. And then COVID, I think, is what happens here. And so she's back home, and she said when you get home from that long of like go, and we all know like the whole COVID thing just slowed us all down. I was having this conversation the other day. It's like, a lot of people I know like had that same go, like, thing before COVID happened. And then you're forced to like not be that way. Mm-hmm. And it was a complete reset for like everyone.
Yeah.
As we know, people listening to this and watching this, we all reevaluate things in different ways, right? Our career, our lifestyle, where we're living, like
perspective change,
who we're married to. A lot of people divorced during that time. Yeah. But yeah, so she went through all this as well, right? And this is kind of like what leads into this album and where she was coming from when she wrote the songs for this album.
Right.
Motordrome is called.
Yeah.
Came out in 2022. She doesn't say this, but you know how artists go around and say it's like, this is my most personal album to date. You know how artists say that?
Yeah, about every album.
Yeah. Do they?
No.
Yeah. I haven't heard her say this, but about this album. But she's basically said that it is like her processing like all of her life up to this point. And she said that she didn't want it to come across like, oh, poor Danish girl, like, woe is me sort of thing. Like she had that sort of question herself about whether that was the right thing to do. But ultimately she just kind of like went with her feeling, her heart, and just like wrote like what she really wanted to express I think, for this album, you know. So
so I think it comes across in a really communicative way.
Yeah.
It comes across, you know, it is intimate, like you said.
Yeah.
Still boppy though.
Yeah. I thought it was darker sounding in some ways, and then I heard another interviewer ask her about that, like it sounds grittier, and she just said, well, the music's always an evolving process, and all of her music always includes the sounds that she likes. So she likes like gritty, dark synths from like the 1980s, and she loves guitar. Like she loves guitar solos, apparently. Like so,
harkening back to that, you know, 90s grunge, punk stuff.
So all of these textures find their way into her music, I think. But for some reason or other, it does sound a bit grittier to me, this album, like the gritty synths, you know.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I like it as well. Yeah.
I like gritties as well.
Yeah.
Nitty
gritty. Yeah.
Down and dirty.
You still talking about music?
I don't know. Let's turn the cams off.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, that's a good album.
Yeah.
That could be interesting to start with too. Like I said, though, I would start with the second album.
Forever Neverland.
Forever Never, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, that brings us up to 2022.
Yeah.
I don't really know what she's doing in between then and today. That's
probably, I think she started touring again, but in a different way now. She mentioned something about her life being kind of toxic before. I don't know if that was because of personal relationships or lifestyle on the road type shit, or all of it.
all of the above, probably a little bit of everything.
But she, like, I feel like she's come round to like a really good sort of like point of view now and place, like, and how she's approaching what she's doing. You know, I mean, but if you think about it, you know, she's pretty much in her 20s, like since her teens to like 34, been building this career for herself, kind of thing. You know, which is a lot of work. And like, she said some cool things that I think is good. Like one thing that resonated with me is she said that she would rather make her own mistakes, you know, like, and I think she's talking about in the creative process kind of thing.
Right.
Rather than trying to execute someone else's idea and failing at that, you know, she'd rather like have her own ideas about things and try them out and fail at that, you know, because at least she knows she's tried to do it, you know, because failure, like we all say, failure is a big part of success, right? You know,
if you're not failing, you're not succeeding.
Yeah. You learn from each of these things. You try them all out.
Yeah, failure's a part of success,
Yeah.
not the opposite.
Exactly. Yeah. Success is built on a mountain of failures. There's all of these different quotes about this.
Yeah.
And one last quote from her. She said if she had any advice to anyone out in the world, and she said, just go for it. Don't be tied up. Just let go. Which kind of like comes back to the Erykah Badu quote at the beginning of the show. Follow your heart.
Mind blown.
It'll
sometimes you got to let go.
Get you to where you need to be. Yeah.
To get what you want.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hold on to something too tightly and you're actively keeping out the things that are trying to be attracted to you.
Yeah. And the punk mentality as well, right? You know, just freedom of expression, you know.
Yeah, not caring what other people think you should do.
Yeah.
And following your heart with integrity.
Yeah.
Doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
Have a good time doing it.
Exactly, yeah. So pasting all these little nuggets of things, episode by episode, artist by artist, all these like little techniques or mindsets or attitudes that go into the bigger picture.
I think by episode 1000, we'll pretty much have the universe figured out.
We'll be successful podcasters and bad. We only have like 6 songs and 500 TikToks. No.
Yeah, a lot of TikToks. That's all I got on Moo.
Yeah. Mo, Karen,
Meh.
She's got a lot of great albums out there. There's some deep cuts in those albums. Go listen to it. Forever Neverland. I really like the first one, actually. No Mythologies to Follow. But yeah,
It's good.
good stuff.
Yeah, cool artist.
Yeah.
She's probably going to be on some tracks in the future.
Yeah,
So be on the lookout.
yeah.
And with that, let's close it out. If you guys want to hang out with us, we're on Instagram at Roots to Grooves, YouTube at Roots to Grooves, Twitter at Roots to Grooves. What's the other one that's not? Oh, TikTok at SIGNL Radio. And then if you want to hit us up personally with comments, concerns, or anything on email, Jay's got the email. Thank you.
Roots to Grooves at signalradio.com, SIGNL radio.com.
I'm in love with the kindness, in love with the mystery. You and I, we were meant to be. It's algorithm, baby. And if I'm lost in the darkness, I'm sure that you would come and search for me. I'm in love with your kindness. It's algorithm, baby. I hear the whole world talk, but I'm stuck on keyboard. Yeah, I forgot how to walk away. Now my boyfriend's gone, so is my lock and my doors. I know I gotta stay strong, gotta stay strong. But when I see you, I come back to life. Lying in your hands, baby, victory is mine. When you grab me, hands to the sky, carry me through the room. I'm in love with your kindness, in love with the mystery. You and I, we were meant to be. It's algorithm, baby. And if I'm lost in the darkness, I'm sure that you would come and search for me. I'm in love with your kindness. It's algorithm, baby. Man, I've been so gloomy, thinking about what used to be. Now in my dreams I see reality. I hear the whole world talking, I want to talk as well. Let me in, shake me out of my shell. I wanna feel like myself again. When I see you, I come back to life. Lying in your hands, baby, victory is mine. When you grab me, hands to the sky, carry me through the room. I'm in love with your kindness, in love with the mystery. You and I, we were meant to be. It's algorithm, baby. And if I'm lost in the darkness, I'm sure that you would come and search for me. I'm in love with your kindness. It's algorithm, baby. We're in love with the starlight, in love with the pure serenity. The whole world might be burning up, but we're holding up in the starlight. We're in love with the starlight, in love with the pure serenity. The whole world might be burning up, but we're holding up in the
Roots to Grooves is a production of SIGNL Radio. For more music and independent culture, visit signalradio.com. That's SIGNL radio.com.